Here's a shocker. Major news networks turning a blind eye to the Black Lives Matter mansion scandal. According to transcripts, ABC, CBS, and NBC have not spent a single second covering the story. New York Magazine revealing that BLM Global Network Foundation bought a 6,500 square foot mansion in Southern California with cash back in October 2020. Patrice Keller's co-founder of BLM, writing an Instagram post denouncing the story as a racist and sexist attack on the organization. Carly.
Crime in one Southern California community getting so bad, the U.S. Postal Service is refusing to deliver the mail over fears of carrier safety. Venice resident and member of the Venice Neighborhood Council Public Health and Safety Committee, Soledad Ursua, joins me now. Soledad, good morning to you. So this is happening in Santa Monica, very close to where you live. It's a nice area, and there were 3 attacks on mail carriers. So now the Postal Service is saying we're not going to be sending any more people out to deliver the mail. Residents are going to have to pick it up at the post office. What's your reaction to this?
That's right. That's just a little bit of insight into our life in Los Angeles. We've been faced with spiraling crime. You know, it's funny because the mail is really something that you take for granted. Their motto is neither snow nor rain. And, you know, nothing will really stop them from delivering, but it turns out that crime has. And we find that crime has affected our daily lives. It feels like we've been on a permanent lockdown where for the past 2 years, we've been forced inside due to COVID. Now it feels like we've been forced inside due to crime and criminals taking over.
Yeah, and I just heard that you told producers right before the segment started that you hear people fighting outside your house right now.
That's right. I can hear somebody yelling on the street. And, you know, I live a block off of Abbott Kinney. As late as 2016, it was named by Forbes magazine as one of the coolest cities or one of the coolest streets in America. Last weekend, somebody was shot about 100 feet from my home. He was killed. This was about 1 a.m. The police did not find the body until 8 a.m. And it was a crime scene for a few hours. But this is just daily life in Los Angeles these days.
And it shouldn't be daily life in Los Angeles. I mean, you just talked about a murder and you said that it went, you know, didn't even make the news because it happens so often. People have become numb to this violence. Soledad, when did you start noticing a shift, a change, an increase in violence? Was this recent or has this been going on for some time now?
It's really started over about the past year and a half. Really, it's when George Gascon, our LA County District Attorney, took over. He was somebody who announced that on day one he would not prosecute criminals. And so that's really what's happened here. There's no fear of justice for these criminals, and they're allowed to commit serious repeat offenses without ever fear of jail. And so that's really the problem that we have. He is under, another recall right now. Recent poll shows that about 50% of LA County voters disapprove of the job that he's doing. And really, it's just because of rampant crime.
Yeah, and there's also another poll that shows that 56% of California residents are concerned on a daily basis that crime might happen to them, that they might be impacted by violence. So what needs to change?
Thank you.
Well, luckily, 2022, we have elections coming up in Los Angeles. We are going to have the ability to elect a new mayor, a new city attorney. So, I'm somebody who spent the most of my life as a Democrat, and unfortunately, we are now, we're getting what we voted for. And that's very sad, and I hope people will wake up and realize that we need strong leaders, people who are willing to protect us.
Yeah. Crime impacts Democrats and Republicans equally, and you're seeing a lot of people switch sides and want changes because of this issue. Soledad Ursua, thank you so much for joining us. Please stay safe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Todd?
So instead of worrying about things like murders, people worry about stuff like this. A London art gallery adding a woke warning label to a famous work of art. This painting from Manet, I think I say that right. I did not take art history in college. Now comes with a message to viewers, quote, due to the, quote, unsettling gaze of the man in the background. Wow. The gallery's website saying, quote, her enigmatic expression is unsettling, especially as she appears to be interacting with a male customer who is shown in the mirror. If we could pop that back up. Again, I don't study art critically, but I can tell you, I don't even know what they're talking about. Do you?
I have no idea. Although it is 2022 and there is a lot going on, this one still surprises me.
Yeah. Is this our number one concern right now in the world?
No.
I give up. Illegal immigrants getting free cell phones and free flights on the American taxpayers' dime, but Pennsylvania Republicans have a plan to change that. Doug Mastriano running for governor in the Keystone State. He'll join us to explain how.
Plus, Twitter shareholders are taking on Elon Musk. The action being...
Doug, if I could just get you to come a little closer to the camera, if you please.
Absolutely.
Now can you pan the camera to your left? A little bit more. There you go. That should work right there, sir. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Morning, sir. This is the control room. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you nicely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I can hear you loud and clear. We're going to be coming up to, we're going to have your interview in the next block. You're going to be speaking with Todd.
Great. So, well, Todd is the guy.
There are a few quick headlines just before you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here we go for you.
Welcome back. Joe Rogan and Bill Maher railing against Twitter and the media for dismissing the Wuhan lab leak theory. Take a listen.
All right, for months, you couldn't even mention it. And that is certainly something. Was this lab in Wuhan that was studying coronaviruses out with it on their shoe? Can't we even look into that? For Twitter to take that off, that to me was a huge red flag.
It's crazy. It was crazy because it wasn't resolved. It just wasn't resolved.
Crazy indeed. Maher joining Rogan. On the latest episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, the HBO host also speculated less fear of giving credence to the lab leak theory came from the thought of it being racist. Several top virologists and doctors, including former CDC Director Robert Redfield, have said it likely escaped from a lab in Wuhan. Elon Musk is facing a lawsuit from former Twitter shareholders. They claim Musk failed to quickly disclose his 5% stake in Twitter when he was required to do so by U.S. securities laws. The former shareholders say Musk prevented them from profiting off the rise in Twitter stock, which shot up after Musk made his announcement. The billionaire was required to report his investment within 10 days of the acquisition back in March, but allegedly reported it over a week late. And Revolver News journalist Darren Beatty says the stakes are incredibly high for Elon Musk because the Twitter takeover would take some of the power away from big tech.
The entire regime depends on holding a total monopoly over what Elon rightly calls the global public. Sir, we're coming to you just a few.
Thank you.
Threatens that, steps into territory that is not a normal financial realm. Twitter is not a normal company. And so Elon needs to be prepared for what's coming. It would be one of the few things that is not fake and not performative. It would amount to effectively a declaration of war on our corrupt and illegitimate regime.
Musk will no longer be joining Twitter's board of directors, but says he will work with them to make significant improvements to the platform in the coming months. Something to watch. Tom, over to you.
With 18,000 migrants expected to cross the border per day once the Biden administration ends Title 42, Republicans in Pennsylvania are looking to tack a fee onto money transfers made by illegal immigrants living in the state to help ease the burden on taxpayers. Gubernatorial candidate and sponsor of the legislation and Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano joins me now. Doug, really interesting concept. How would it work?
So, hey, good morning, Todd. Thanks for having me on. So basically, we have every state in America is a border state now. We have the Biden administration flying in illegals in small airports, direct flights from El Paso to Texas, dropping them off, buses pick them up, and they disappear in the state. And obviously, this is killing our state and putting a heavy burden on our taxpayers. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a 2% remittance fee on money transfers. Most of these illegals are being paid under the table because they're illegals. And so their money is going into their hands, and then they're shifting out of the country about $17 billion a year. And so my goal here is to actually make them pay up since they're skipping taxes. And then we'll use that money. We're estimating about $80 million a year will be generated from this to help relieve property tax costs to our elderly.
Any sense as to how much the average citizen, average elderly person could stand to gain from this?
Well, I'm hoping that it could reduce their property tax bill at least by half, because we have about 10,000 homes a year in Pennsylvania that are lost mostly by the elderly because they can't keep up with our ridiculous property taxes that increase every year.
And they're forced to sell, and that shouldn't be the case.
Yes.
Meantime, Vice President Kamala Harris warning that climate change is really hurting workers in your great state of Pennsylvania, as she completely ignores the fact that, inflation is destroying everybody right now. Take a listen.
The danger posed by extreme heat has been ignored and overlooked for far too long. And that danger is only increasing. Because as we know, climate change has become a climate crisis.
Doug, I don't know. I've been following the news somewhat lately because it's my job. Is heat really the #1 issue facing Pennsylvania workers?
Absolutely not. I think the dangers posed by her high inflation is killing our people. I think the dangers posed by energy prices that are through the roof because of their failed policies. Why would they send Kamala Harris to try to appeal to the hardworking blue collar workers in those union jobs in Philadelphia? Anything she puts her hands to fails, like the border or like Ukraine. And I'm surprised we didn't hear a little cackle there to lighten up the mood. So.
I mean, we can always dub in the cackle later. Do Pennsylvania voters buy this attempt by the vice president, by the White House on the whole, to deflect from the real issues? Because let's face it, inflation is the issue facing all of us right now, and the White House is trying to punt by saying, "Oh, it's Putin's fault."
Yeah, no, we don't buy it. This is just ridiculous. I really think that, like, people such as Kamala Harris and maybe even Biden, when he has his cognitive abilities, are completely out of touch with the workers of Pennsylvania and around the nation here. And so that's why we're going to see a big red wave this fall. It's going to be beautiful.
You're running. Again, you're not running necessarily in a federal election, but you're running in a state that all eyes are on because it is a swing state. All eyes are on Pennsylvania to see ultimately what happens. What are you hearing from the voters on a day in and day out basis? Are they worried about heat, or are they worried about putting food on the table?
Yeah, and this is not a soundbite. I'm a retired Army colonel. I don't do politics, but travel in the state, the people are worried about the future of their kids. They're worried about being indoctrinated in schools. They're worried about losing parental rights. They're worried about pay. How can they heat their house this past winter? How are they going to cool this summer coming up here? And how do they keep things together? And that's the #1 issue.
Yeah, that's the heat, to your point.
Yeah.
That people in Pennsylvania and throughout the country, especially the Northeast and the northern part of this country, are worried about heating their homes,
Yep.
not climate change. Yes, arguably an issue, but right now people are facing a real emergency in their wallets, in their pocketbooks, and they want it solved. Doug Mastriano, keep us posted on your campaign. Interesting to see how it all pans out. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Todd. God bless you.
You as well. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
While Democrats focus on their climate.
Thanks. I'm surprised so many people are tuning in. It's so darn early. My aide in Harrisburg was thinking, you're Army Colonel, 4:30 shouldn't be too early for you. Yeah, high flyer. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Peace train. We have viewers on YouTube. Have almost 100 live viewers on Fighting for Freedom on Facebook. You guys are dedicated. I would not be up unless I had to be. Diane, what's up? Kathy. Hey, Penny. So if anyone recorded that, if you could send that segment to me, we could post it. I don't have a high-speed, DVR or whatever, and I only have like 10 channels on our cable. We just have the minimum for our internet. But anyway, High Flyer, thank you. Thank you for knocking on doors today for Teddy and me. I appreciate that. And Rebby and I are thankful for you guys. I'm going to probably go back to bed. And then I have session today. So I might try to do a live from Harrisburg. It's going to be a bit of a long day. I think we're going to be running the, what's the bill called? Fairness in Sports, where only biological females can participate in female sports. That I even have to say that we even have to vote on a bill, hopefully becomes a law, is insane. Madness is setting into our country. Things are turned upside down. These are the days that they call good evil and evil good. So there's going to be a lot of drama. I'm very shocked and disappointed. I guess I shouldn't be, but you tend to want to give people the benefit of the doubt. But the Democrat Party is so radical. And when we voted on this bill out of committee, Education Committee Monday, I was appalled that not one Democrat on the committee voted with us to protect female sports. Even one of the so-called, moderate Democrats, he voted with his radical party. They don't care about you or your kids. All they care about is their political agenda. And that came out constantly when we try to reopen a state. Not enough voted with us to override Wolf's veto. 2 years ago. Don't forget, this party has left you behind, and that's why when we're out and about, thousands of people are registering as Republican. They're done with it. And so although their family may have been Democrats going back, many years, that party has left everybody behind. And they are out of control. They don't care about female sports. They don't care about fairness. They care about a radical agenda. And it's a bit ironic that now they're okay. That same party, supposedly that cared about the children, is okay with biological males dominating female sports. And it doesn't matter if you take hormone suppressors and whatever else they want to say equalizes it. You can't change that person's DNA, and their DNA, by God's design, He created them male and female. They're stronger, they're larger, they have bigger hearts, bigger lung capacity. Guys, males do. You can't change that, no matter what you do to try to alter your chemistry. But follow the science, we were told for 2 years, and it was all a lie. Follow the science. Dr. Levine telling us to follow the science. And no one can see the problem with that statement. And science denying policies. Yep, Kim, I hear you. Okay, Dodie, good to see you. I'm gonna go try to get a couple hours sleep before I go to work. Joe, you're right. It's all lies. And then, of course, if you stand for truth, you're hated. You're transphobic, or whatever. Pick a phobe. But you know what? I'm going to stand with truth. And they've called me all these stupid names already anyway. I just like, just shut up. And we're going to fight for justice and freedom, and for all that is good, and for truth. So thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great morning. See you in a few hours. It is way too early. Okay.